Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Ministry Media Masterclasses, which is masterclasses on ministry media positioned as a learning opportunity for pastors and ministries where we can impact the world through you. We are live from My Growth Academy, where our vision is kingdom standards in educational excellence. My name is Ivan Fiyun, and I'm a media coach for pastors and ministries. I help them get their message to its intended for, build the media channels for that message to get there, and building a community around it. I'm passionate about transforming the world through equipping and empowering inspired individuals to create ethical, positive, and true media that edifies and builds up society, raises up and establishes godly voices, and brings restoration to the world. I do this through one-on-one coaching, providing a media coaching platform, facilitating media challenges, and hosting ministry media retreats. My name is Ivan Fiyun, and this is my masterclass. Today, we're going to look at podcasting as a ministry media tool or format to launch your ministry's media effortlessly. And the reason why I'm talking about this is it's on the back. It's kind of a promise. It's fulfillment of a promise. Last week, I did a class on quote cards, and I showed you how effective that can be and how do I create them and what the results could be. And I said that this week I'm going to look at podcasting because those are two of the easiest ways for you to launch out your media ministry and start impacting the world. And remember the 4 pillars that we teach regularly. It's content, consistency, community, and collaboration. And the reason why I want you to create, but not just create, but do it consistently, is because if you create content consistently, you'll have a community that naturally evolves. And that's where the rubber hits the road. You should really start, impacting people and getting transformation in your life. So today we'll be looking at defining your podcast idea, planning out your episodes, gathering equipment, recording your episodes, editing and enhancing your product, publishing platforms, crafting compelling titles, launching and promoting your podcast, consistency and improvement, and we're going to do Q&A at the end. If you like what you hear today, want to launch or improve your ministry media platform, learn the latest content creation techniques, build a media team, and increase the impact of your ministry, sign up for the launch of our Ministry Media Challenge, which is the link is in the description. And during this class, what we'll do is we'll share with you the absolute urgency for transformational content, why we've created the challenge, and carefully crafting your ministry media platform. Launching your platform in as little as 12 weeks. This is a premium challenge where we'll take you from where you are to global influence and impact. So I want you to please let me know in the comments below, what is your expectation of the class today? Let's go. Great. It's got some comments already. Thank you, Lamise, for being here. And let's talk about effortlessly launching your ministry media through a format called podcasting. We're going to deep dive this today. I hope it's really valuable. And please post your comments or your questions. Really get to those. Let's look at the first thing, defining your podcast idea. Now, I want to encourage you to go back to if you're part of our Telegram community, there'll be a playlist in the description. Go back to the lesson, the class on reflection. And that is where really you're going to get your niche down. What we want to do is we want to choose a niche or topic for the podcast before we even start. Because if you know what your objective is and what you're comfortably going to talk about, then this is going to be a much easier exercise. And we're going to talk through all the intricacies involved here, maybe even do some tutorials. But it's very important that you know what your core message is, right? What are you passionate about? What drives you? What did God call you to say to the world? What is the impact that you need to make in the world? And that could be a lot of various things. But for your podcast and your larger media ministry, you want to really hone on what is that, right? Because it's going to influence the title of your podcast, it's going to influence your content layout, etc., etc. And I'm going to break down at the end here. I'm going to just explain to you how easy it really together. So I'm going to just make a note here, plan your episodes. I want to put in stacking. All right. And so for you to choose your niche and your topic, what is your podcast going to be about? This is going to be best. You're going to have the best results if your podcast is extension of your other ministry media efforts. So if you have a platform and your platform is driven towards something specific. So it could be souls, it could be missions, it could be prophecy, it could be developing shepherding. It could be, I did lessons before where we talked about how you should get really, really specific about it. If your podcast is an extension of that, it's a different format that people can consume. And I'm going to teach you in the next part, I'm going to teach you about stacking and how your podcasting could really be easy. But that is kind of putting the cart before the horse. If you haven't done anything yet, this is a perfect class for you, because I'm going to encourage you to just get started and start with podcasting. Because if you do your podcasting, the lesson last week on quote cards, you can then extract the material from there and start doing your podcast, your quote cards as well. And I think a media platform for a ministry could really be well. It will really do well if you just have these two elements already in place. And later on, you can start building on top of that, etc. But it's very important that you know who you're talking to. Your target audience is very, very, very important. And so just quickly, I don't have a tutorial for this that I can show you right now, but if you want to go to your Chrome browser, open it up and go to ChatGPT, and then go and install the AirPM extension, okay? And if you install that and you open up ChatGPT, if you don't know what ChatGPT is or what AI is, I do have a class on AI where I did some of this exercises already. Just go and click on that class and see the possibilities. It's not finished, not by any means, but we've already given you some tips there. Go to ChatGPT in your Chrome browser with that extension. You're going to see a lot of functionalities. The top right-hand side, there'll be a box that you can click that's going to help you define what we call an avatar, ideal client, if you will. But in ours, it is our audience. All right, and so that's one trick that I can give you where you can go and refine and define your audience. Who are you called to speak to? It will usually be driven by your passions, your heart, things that make you angry, things that you regularly speak about, etc. So you want to ask the questions: who's going to listen to my podcast? Who will I be giving value to? Because everything that you craft here is going to go towards that. Okay. So who are the people that I'm going to be talking to, and what value am I going to give to them? In other words, what is the one thing that I'm going to add to them? Remember, leadership is about being people of value that value people and multiply values to others. All right, and that's what we do here. Building a media channel, you are going to be a leader in your specific ministry field. You're going to become a voice. You're going to become an influence. Me doing this class is just already, I think I've done 12 so far. And it's already built me a massive amount of influence. I get requests for conferences and for traveling, all those kind of things. And that's what it's going to give you, right? Doing content consistently is going to give you three things. It's going to give you credibility, it's going to give you visibility, and it's going to give you influence. And we cannot impact people if we don't have influence. And the more content you create, the more visible your ministry will be. People will get to know about you. And the thing about content is people will get to know you. They will hear what you say, And that's where people make connections and where they find stuff that you say valuable. That's where the doors open and people start encouraging you and talking to you, etc. They want to draw from you because you're putting yourself out there. And that is one of the biggest and easiest ways for you to really be an effective minister. Let's look at planning your episodes. Okay, so I'm going to assume that you already have your audience right. And so planning your episodes, I might have jumped a little bit forward. Let's quickly talk about, let's go back on the slides here. Okay, it's important that you get a name for your podcast. And one way that you can do this, and you can use AI as well, is you go to Chat GPT and you type the following. Say, I'm starting a podcast and my audience for this podcast is this specific audience. And how I think I'll be providing value to them is the following, and list a couple of things. My objective is to reach more people, to impact them, bring transformation. And I'm looking to grow the podcast. So would you help me please craft a title and a tagline for my podcast that's going to be in line with everything that I shared with you now? And he's going to probably give you 5 to 10 examples, ideas of what you can call your podcast. And they might not even work for you, but they'll definitely help you creatively and guide you towards something. So now that I have the name of my podcast, I can go to the next thing and I can start planning my episodes. All right, if you've done the exercise of reflection and you've asked all those questions and you've done all the work, now you know what your message is, and now you can go and start unpacking the topic that you're going to speak about. Now, we do the same exercise if videos is your first point, and podcast is an outflow of that. I'll explain that in a minute. But what you want to do is you want to choose a topic and then at least break down that topic into 12 different, or you have a theme. Sorry, you have an overarching theme. Let's say, for instance, leadership. Okay, and then you want to be more specific. So something that's going to hook to your audience. So let's say business people. Leadership in business. Okay, that's your overarching theme. It's not the name of your podcast. It's just the theme, because that's the value that you're going to provide. Next, what you want to do is you want to take that theme and you want to break it down into at least 12 topics. Okay, and so it could be something like this. Leading through a crisis, change management. It could be getting your team to buy into the vision. It could be developing people to the next level, etc., etc. So you pull out, just go and do a framework and pull out different topics. Okay, because that's what your podcast is about, and that's what you want to talk about. And so you want to also perhaps see if you can, one thing that will make it really dynamic is doing a podcast with just your voice is okay. And that's a great place to start. What you can look at later, or you could even possibly launch with this, is having a co-host, someone that you have great dynamic with, someone that you have a relationship with, and there's good dynamic and context between the two of you. And both of you have a story that you bring to the table. You have process that you've gone through. You have experience. And so you could ask each other questions, and you could bounce off each other. And this makes for a very dynamic podcast or medium. And this actually ties into the fourth pillar that we talk about, and that's collaborations, where someone else comes and adds value to the conversation through their view or their experience or their context. So that's something that you can do as well. What I found very valuable and powerful is interviewing people on my podcast. That way, there's not a lot of prep work that you have to do. You basically frame your topics around the guest that you're going to have. And I actually don't even have pre-existing questions. I don't send questions ahead, because people go through that and it can become very stiff and very difficult to have a real conversation. So I might have some ideas of what I want to ask, a framework that I want to work towards. just overarching topics, like my guest has done this, and that's what I want to ask them. And then I have follow-up questions like, what's the process, and what influenced it, and what was the outcome, and tips, and etc., etc. So that's what you want to do. So my format that I use is just teaching. That's one voice, and I often also have guests that I interview, and those work really well for me. So what you want to do is you want to structure your episodes, right? So now that you have the overarching theme, you have the topics, now you want to say, okay, I'm going to speak about prophetic in the modern age. I want to say, is there a guest that I know and I can get onto the show, that I can that it's going to add value to the conversation, right? And so you want to look at that and maybe invite them to become part of it. You could have a monologue where you just talk, or you can then bring people into it. You want to have a structure, and usually that is a teaser clip in the beginning. So you after you recorded your podcast, you'll take a small part of it that's intriguing, that evokes interest, and you put it in the front with an intro clip. That's usually a music or a jingle. And then you start the podcast with the following: an introduction like, hi, my name is Ivan Fune. I'm a media coach for blah, 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 blah. Already done an interview, and this is who I help. And you are tuned into this podcast where we want to do this. So it's clear. It's very good to have your objective. Today, we're going to talk about, and you give the framework. I did the exact same thing in this class today. I told you exactly what you can expect going forward. That way, people get hooked into it and they know, okay, what can I expect? And then they are looking out for the content to come through. And then obviously you want to end it with either questions, opening up for the audience to participate if it's something live that you're doing with video. And you want to perhaps just end it off with a call to action, right? Either it's go somewhere or engage with us or something like that. What you want to do is podcasts. There's a couple of formats, and let's talk about length. It's a couple lengths that work really well. A 3 to 5 minute length is short and punchy, and it's easy to create, and you can put it out, and they work really well. Then you get the 12 to 15 minute podcast where you can get 3 to 5 points across, and it's really good teachable moments. And then you have, say, 45-minute podcasts where you're having really a conversation with someone. My interviews, for instance, are no less than 45 to 60 minutes. And what I try to do is, obviously, there's a lot of value inside of the podcast. And so you want to do that. But you can always look at, let me just get started with a 3 to 5 minute thought that I bring across. And later on, when you get more, when it gets more valuable and you become more trained and exercised in this specific discipline, then you can start lengthening it a little bit. But you want to definitely just get started and keep it brief in the beginning so that you don't waffle and go off on a tangent, etc. Let's talk about stacking. I promised you I was going to talk about this. Podcasting is going to be really easy if you already have a video production plan. And so you might be doing videos, and what we teach in our program is the same principle: theme, topics laid out. And so you're going to shoot. You would have shot those videos, and what we do is we simply take that specific video, and the way we shoot the videos and edit the videos are usually in the right format. So it'll also have a teaser, it'll have an intro, and then the content at the end. So what we basically do, we save ourselves a lot of time by simply taking that video clip and converting it to audio. That we then upload onto our hosting platform, and it's live. Okay, so that's really how easy it is, and I want to inspire you to just get started and get going with that. The next one is gathering equipment. So the question could be, Ivan, so I've got the outline, I know what it's going to be called, etc. How do I actually capture the content? And so that's what I'm going to talk to you about. What I'm not going to do in this class today is, remember, I want you to effortlessly and easily launch a podcast as a start for your ministry media platform. So I'm not going to give you expensive gear. You don't need that, okay? This is what I do. This is my basic tools, okay? First tool that I have is a Boya M1 mic, right? It looks like this. This is, switch it on and off. That's it. And I've got a mic with a little, what do they call this? A buffer, yeah. That's it. So I use this. I have more elaborate tools and equipment, but I want to keep it simple for you. This mic literally costs 180, 200 Rand on Takealot. Go search Boya M1 and you'll find it. So get that. Why is that important? Because sound quality is extremely important. I've done a lot of podcasts just using my phone and recording it that way and publishing it straight to my publishing platform. And content is great, sound quality is bad. And I had some of my mentors and my students feed back to me and say, I love the content, but I can hear this was a while back before you were as professional. Well, so that kind of feedback just makes it real that these things are necessary. The second thing that you're going to need is something simple as Audacity. Okay, just go and Google Audacity. It'll be on a platform called SourceForge. You download the software. It's absolutely free. You can start using it immediately. And the third thing is your publishing platform. As you get started, what I use, my main platform that I like using is SoundCloud, right? And so all I do is I go and record in the format in the way that I explained to you already. And then once I have my audio and it's been edited, we'll talk about the editing in a moment. Once it's edited, I take that audio file after it's been exported and I upload it to SoundCloud. And maybe we'll do a test today. Wouldn't it be fun? Wouldn't be a masterclass without application. So those three things, right? That's all you need. And SoundCloud does have a pro account or a premium account where you have to pay per month for the hosting, but it is free at first. And you can actually get, if you do clips of 3 to 5 minutes, you can actually get almost 100 episodes out before you have to start paying. You could also host your podcast on your website server if you have one, and then just if you're using WordPress, you can actually upload a plugin which will help you play those audios from your website. And this is a good strategy because what it will do is people have to come to your website and use your website to listen to the recordings, right? And so if you've got a plan to market your podcast, then people will come to your website. And what's nice is people will listen to it. They'll have to be on the page, which increases your bounce rate, or it decreases your bounce rate. Bounce rate is people come to your site and leave after a couple of minutes. So it keeps people on your website for longer periods of time, which is good for your Google Analytics and your SEO. Also, while people are on the page, you could have everything transcripted. There are other lessons on that, and we do teach it in our program. You could use a platform like Descript to go and transcribe your podcast. I have in the AI lesson a couple of weeks ago, if you watched that, I have shown you how to transcribe with Word, and that's free. You can also use Descript for free for a while. And so if you have a blog post with the audio, you can have all the text transcribed and people can actually read as they follow word for word, or you can do a synopsis. You can do it as well, but that keeps people on your website. And so how will that help, Ivan? Well, people come to listen to the content, and at the bottom or somewhere on the page, you could promote the next step where people can engage with you, which is a great way to do that. So that is equipment. Let's talk about recording your episodes. Obviously, you want a quiet environment, right? And you want a place where people can, there's going to be no distractions. So I had lots of seasons in my ministry media before there was COVID, kids were at home. And so I said to them at my office, close the door, please don't come in, don't come ask me questions. And it's weird that, you know, if you've got kids around and you're doing a recording, that's when people knock on the door, etc., etc. So just make sure what I do now is beforehand, like a half an hour before, I say, guys, in an hour, I'm going to record. Please make sure that you're not making a noise. to come ask me questions, etc., etc. Half an hour before, I again speak to them, and 10 minutes before, I say, listen, I'm going live in 5 or 10 minutes. Please remember what we spoke about. And when I go live, I say, I'm going live now, and then you go live. And that's if you're live. If you're recording as well, what's nice about pre-recording your episodes, unlike what I'm doing here, which is live, pre-recording your episodes is nice because you can record and then you can go cut out the segments that is that is not conducive to the experience. Okay, so quiet, right? No background noise. What's nice about these mics is right under my mouth, and so it picks up the sound right here. It does pick up surround sound, so you definitely want to make sure that there's no noise in the background. I have a dog, so sometimes the dog barks, and we call those natural environment noises. And so in video, it's also not that bad, but you don't want it to have it constantly. Okay, so make sure beforehand that your dog is given attention, you fed them, etc., etc. Okay, let me go back quick second. We were talking about equipment, and I want to just show you this. So I've gone and I've gotten a podcast mic. So this is a boom arm. This is a podcast mic, and this is what we call a shock-proof. Sure, I can't remember, but it basically, if I were to touch this, it absorbs, or the arm absorbs the tension, and it doesn't go on the recording. So that is also good. So you can see I've got all the different types of stuff that we want to use here. So recording your episode, again, having your mic, good environment, right? And then you want to do simple things. So what I want to do what I want to do quickly is I want to do just a live recording, and I want to just show you. I just want to show you how that works. I'm just preparing my screen here, and I don't know if it's going to use use the mic in 2 different places. Let's see. Okay, so screen 2 looks like this. Okay, I'm going to do this. All right, so here what you've got here is Audacity. It's opened up. This is what the interface looks like. So I'm going to look at one thing that you want to do is go to audio setup, and you want to just make sure that your recording device is chosen. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly record a podcast. Okay, it's going to be, let's say, 1 minute. So let's do it. Hi, my name is Amfiun, and welcome to the Ministry Media Podcast, where we want to empower you to reach a global audience and impact the world with your message. In this podcast, we're going to talk about creating a podcast. And what I'm doing right now is I'm actually on the screen and I'm recording this audio for a podcast example that I'm using in a live class. So some of the elements that is already prepared by this time should be your topic, your title, and you know exactly what you're going to talk about. So I'm just recording my voice and showing it on the screen, and I'm going to do some post production on this as well. I'm going to put some ums and ahs and some space where it's quiet, so I can use it in a demo in a few minutes. And we also want to maybe make some noise, and we're also going to just start landing this and saying that is already a great lesson for anybody that wants to start a podcast. And I want to end it off with a call to action, right? My call to action at this podcast is ensure that you get started with creating media for your ministry. And this lesson of creating a podcast is a great way to do that. So I want to challenge you to go and do that right away. And so all I do is, as you can see, I've just pressed stop, and that is how I've recorded a podcast. That's really how simple it is. And so we're going to get back to that in a second, but we are at recording your episodes. So that's basically how it works. And I've now recorded my episode, and I've used all the elements that I've been teaching you. Okay, so I've done basically a test or a trial, and now it gets to editing and enhancing your podcast. All right, and so what I'm going to show you in a minute is I'm going to show you how I'm going to edit the recording, and I'm editing the recording, and then I'm going to enhance the recording a little bit so that you can see what the final product is going to be and how do we export it. So having said that, let me stop this screen here. I'm just going to get the podcast up again, and I'm going to show this to you. All right. It's giving a little bit of a blur. Let's see if we can get it back up without any flickering. There you go. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make it shorter, bring it in. So now I can see the whole track, as you can see there, right? I can also, let's see, it's not going to work. I can do as well. Okay. I'm going to stop. Make it a bit bigger. So here you can see I can basically see my whole timeline. So from what I know, I can see there's a big open piece, and there's the noise that I made. Maybe that is your. So first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a little bit closer, right? I'm going to bring it closer, and I'm going to cut that part. So basically, I just highlight it, and I go and press delete. So I've now deleted it. Right, and I'm not going to listen to the whole thing because you heard what I said, but basically I'm going to go through the timeline and I'm going to remember this part here as I listen to it. So it's very important that you actually preview each one of these. So you can listen for, is there background noise, are they humming, is there hissing, etc. And you might have to re-record it. Okay, but I like doing things on one take. So I've highlighted the white noise or the open space. I'm deleting that. And then I'm going forward a little bit, and I know this is a noise right here. I'm going to cut that out. And then I have my podcast episode all the way to the end. I'm just going to also clear that. Okay, so now I hope I remember where my files are, but I want to go and say import something. Let's just go and see if I can find it. Is it here? Go back here. Podcast. And okay. Looking for my intro. Okay, so let's see. Do we have here? No. Let's go here. And okay, let's go and there's the search bar. Okay, go here. See, do I have podcast here? No. There. Okay, there's two files here. Okay. Okay. Here I got what I actually named it, this is the podcast intro. So I'm going to click that and it's going to bring it in. All right. And then what's nice is if you preview this, you can go here and you can say mute. And so I'm going to listen to it. You could probably not hear it. And so here is kind of where I wanted to end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that out. All right. And then I'm going to use something called, I'm just going to go like this, right? And I'm going to do something called fading. I'm going to fade out. Okay. So basically that part's going to fade out. Now I'm going to get my pointing tool kind of. I'm going to unmute this, and I'm going to move this to here. And so what I have now is I have the intro playing for 15 seconds, and then it transitions into the podcast. I can even go here and I can let that fade in, right? And so I have a nice transition there, okay? And that's how easy it is. Now I can go and I can actually go and bring in another one of these, right? And you'll see it's here, and I'm going to move it to the back of my podcast, right? And you can see there's the overlap, okay? I don't need to fade out because it will do that naturally. You can see here it matches, kind of matches up the audio. So I'm going to bring it in a little bit, right? And it naturally fades out here. I'm going to do the same thing like I did before, and I'm going to cut it off there, right? And I'm going to say fade out. All right, and guys, that's how easy it is to create a podcast episode. Okay, so I've done the editing, I've enhanced it by putting an intro and an outro, and that's basically how that happens. Okay, so let's see, what else do we want to discuss here? Okay, so I've now edited and enhanced the podcast, and now what I want to do is I want to publish it. Okay, so one thing I didn't show was this, the export, how easy that is. But let's look at publishing the actual podcast. And so let me show you how that works. Okay, so here is Audacity. I've got my podcast. It's done already. Let's just remove it. Back to stream. See, it's flickering a little bit. Okay, let's get it back up. Okay, and show. Good. All right, so all I do here is I go to File, and I say Export, and I say Export as MP3. The latest version of all the plugins and everything included. So I'll go to the right folder that it needs to go to. Okay, and so I'll title this Masterclass tutorial. Okay, and so it saves it. You get a pop-up like this. Say okay. It shows you this. Then you'll go and say okay, and it's going to record it. So that is how easy it is. Now you've got the audio, right? And so the next step is real easy. I'm just going to open that as well. Let me create a new thing here. Okay, it's going to open it up. Okay. Give me a second. All right. So there is SoundCloud. So it's easy to create a SoundCloud account. You just go to soundcloud.com. You can do it on your phone as well. You go download this SoundCloud app, and all you do is log in with your Facebook profile button. That's how easy it is. And it's going to obviously your profile. If I click here and it says profile, you're going to see that is going to be the name from your Facebook. It's going to draw that through. So all you got to do is just go to you got to hit the edit, and you can go edit your profile. It's very important that you set up your profile properly. So there'll obviously be there'll be the display name, the account name. So I suggest that this is your actual podcast name. You could put your name and surname there, etc., etc. Bio is important. You can link up all your socials, and that's going to be great. And it's really as easy as clicking upload. Okay, choosing your files, and right, Masterclass tutorial. It loads it up. And so you want to go and make sure that you put it in the right context, which mine is religion and spirituality. You can put tags here. So if you've got hashtags that you're using on other platforms for the specific show or topic or whatever, you put them in there. Here you have a description. Now, again, what I do is I go to ChatGPT and let's say I have now got my topic that I'm discussing. I'll go to ChatGPT and I say, this is my topic. This is what's going to be discussed. It's on this platform. It's going to be delivered this way. This is my audience, etc., etc. Then I ask it, give me an optimized title, give me an optimized description, and give me hashtags, optimized hashtags. And so I put the description in here. I put the hashtags in there. And the caption is really cool because here you'll say, for instance, this is a test for this is a podcast test for a masterclass. And so if I go and click save, okay, I'm just going to do it like this. I'm going to show you some of the other things that you can do, right? You click on this, it'll go to your actual track, right? And so the next steps are here, you can share, right? And so you can embed it onto your website. And I use this one, which is a straight strip. Or I can share by shortening the link, and I can go and copy this and share it on my socials. And so obviously promotion, I'm going a little bit ahead of the class. That's really great. But what you want to also do is you want to perhaps here go and let me just see if I've got some images that I can use here. All right, let's use this face here. Okay, so I go and just put, you want to put, this is called your thumbnail. So you know thumbnails on YouTube. So here you want to basically also just have a thumbnail that you can use. And this is what it's going to be. Okay. So that is how that works. Let's see if there's anything that I missed. Okay. All right, so that is how you publish your podcast. Now, some other places that you can use for publishing your podcast as well, there's two different ways. Okay, first one, what I have here in SoundCloud is I have the hosting and the publishing in the same place. Okay, so what you can do is you can have places like Libsyn, Podbean, or Anchor and host your podcast there. You can also use another platform. What's the one that we always used before? I can't remember, but I'll put it in the show notes. So you are hosting your platform there, and then you distribute to platforms like Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and that is how you do it. Okay, let's go to titles and descriptions. I kind of went ahead and I already shared that. So what I do is I go to ChatGPT. I say, this is my podcast. This is the audience. This is the title. This is what the actual podcast is about. This is the outcomes we're looking for, etc., etc. And then I go and say to it, I want three things from you. I want an optimized title, optimized description, and optimized hashtags. 5 in a line, separated by commas. I give it that instruction, and then I copy and paste the stuff into my platform, and that's basically what we did there. Okay, so that is really, really important. So how do I launch and promote my podcast? Well, in our program, Ministry Media Mastery, we have a challenge, a 12-week challenge, which we spoke of before. And if you're ready to go ahead with that, go and click on the link in the description. You can go and submit your details for our next challenge. Now, in the challenge, what we do is we actually build up your content platform and schedule everything out, and then we work on launching your platform. And we've got a good marketing how to do that. So off the top of my head, just real quick, how can I launch my podcast? It's really easy. You have a live event, right? And you could do it through StreamYard. StreamYard, you can stream to one platform. That's what I'm using for this class. You can stream to one platform. And maybe Facebook is going to be the best place to do that, or your YouTube. Maybe your YouTube channel is the best. So you'll host an event. So here's just some ideas. This is what I've done before. You host an event, right? You plan it. You set it up in StreamYard. You set it up on YouTube and set up the launch already. Then you go, and this launch should have the same thing: title, description, hashtags, and a thumbnail. Thumbnail designed. I already showed you how to do work on Canva. So the class that I did last week on Canva for quote cards, you can do the same thing with thumbnails. I use the same tools and the same strategy. So having a thumbnail, now the stream is set up. Okay, so obviously you have the date that you're going to launch it. You have everything set up and you have the link. Now you go and take that link and you go through your phone and you see, you ask some questions like, who will this podcast give value for, right? Who will it impact or transform? Okay, and in your phone context, and it's good to have a launch team of maybe 5 to 10 people. And everybody does the same exercise. Go through their phones, create a list. Go through LinkedIn, create a list. Go through Facebook, create a list. Go through your work emails, create a list. Okay, and then these people, you're going to put in a broadcast, let's say a WhatsApp broadcast list. Okay, and then you send them all the same message. Hey, this is so-and-so. I'm really excited. We're launching a brand new podcast and we want to celebrate it with you. Would you come through? And this is the date. This is the time. Come and join us. Okay. So now you do the promotion, promote the launch. Everybody gets a message. You can always run it, or also run it through a platform called Hopin, which will use the same interface for StreamYard, but people will be able to register, which will give you an idea of what your thing is. Take that event, go and create an event. If you use the pro version of StreamYard and you set it up this way and you say you go to, let's say, for instance, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, LinkedIn and Facebook will actually have an event created. So another thing that you can do is then go to the events on Facebook and LinkedIn. StreamYard will actually give you the links to that. Go to the page and then you go and invite people. That's another strategy to promote the launch of your platform. Just a segue, it's always good to, when you launch your podcast, it's good to have 3 to 5 episodes already loaded. Okay. If your podcast episodes are short, 3 to 5 minutes, it's good to have 12. And you can do that in one day. If they are 45 minutes, it's good to have 3 to 5 already preloaded. So people can have content, and then you need a schedule. Okay. What does the actual launch look like? I showed you the promotion and execution. The next thing that you want to do is you want to actually plan the launch. So it will be something like an intro video. That's what I also use in this class, as you know. Introducing yourself. Then introducing the agenda. We're going to speak to so-and-so. This person was involved with the ideation. That person was involved with the production. This person was involved with editing. This is our promotion team, etc., etc. And so in StreamYard, you can share a link with everybody that's going to be involved. And they can actually be, you can have up to 10 people in the actual back end, the studio of StreamYard. And they can be ready. So you talk through it, then you bring the first person in, and they say, hey, I'm very excited with the launch today. Why did we do it? What's your thoughts? And they share their vision and they start talking about it. Then you take them out if you want to, or keep them there and bring in the editors and the persons with the idea and the person who created artwork, and tell every part of the production story. And at the end, you say, we are going to preview our very first episode live right now. And then you play the actual first podcast episode in that launch. And afterwards you say, great, what we'd love for you to do is go and subscribe to that launch. We're going to put the link in the description right now. Poof, everybody goes launch. This is a strategy that I call instant audience. So you might have 100 or 1,000 people launching, being there to celebrate the launch with you. And so your call to action immediately is go and subscribe to this podcast. They subscribe to it, have notifications enabled, and so you have an active audience that in future is going to be drawing from you. Right. So, was it valuable so far? Any questions? Post it in the comments. Love to hear from you. Let's end off this session by talking about consistency and improvement. Okay, so we've already shared with you the four pillars of a successful media platform. The second one is consistency after content. So create, be consistent. Now, I want to suggest that you create at least you create or pre-record at least one podcast for every week. So you can have one day a month that you say, okay, I'm going to record all my podcasts and I'm going to schedule them out. The tools that host your platform, they can help you with that. All right. And so you have 4 pre-recorded, you have them scheduled, and they go out at the same time. Why is that important? Because with this class, everybody knows exactly when things are going to go live. And so they make an appointment to listen. Radio is the same. And so you can get very close to radio listenership and engagement by using this strategy. So schedule it out, have a banner on your profiles that says, listen, this thing goes live every so-and-so, like every Wednesday at 8 o'clock or whatever the case may be, so people know when to expect new content. And then keep to it. Because that schedule, announcing it and sharing it with people is like making a promise, and you got to keep your promises. If you don't, you lose credibility. Okay. And so you want to do that consistently. And then you want to go, say, every month, have a meeting, even if it's with yourself, and just go and look at the stats and say, okay, how many people listen to it? How many comments do we have? How many times it's been shared? And then think of ways of how can I improve that? Okay, how can I improve the quality of my show? So can I improve on the delivery? Can I improve on my topics? Can I improve on the dynamic that we have in the show? Can we improve the promotion? Can we get more listenership? Can we get more shares? Can we get more engagement? All those kind of things. And then you put an action plan in place and then work on that and revisit that plan every month. Okay, one thing, I just want to go back quickly. One thing that's really important in terms of promotion is getting people to review your podcast, reviewing it and giving it like stars. That will really help you also to push your push your podcast ahead. So consistency, keep on improving, and it will be really well. So let's conclude the podcast by recapping. We spoke about defining your podcast idea. Remember, we have resources available in the Telegram chat. There's a playlist that's been linked up. Look for the couple of things that are going to help you with the execution of this is the class on reflection, the class on AI, and the class on having the different topics. I think it's called the Content Inspiration Toolkit. Those will really help you with getting that specific done. Planning your episodes, that is high level, is actually something that we do in our actual program. So I gave you that for free today. Gathering equipment, I showed you exactly what to use, what the tools are. Recording the episodes, I showed you an actual application on how do I record it, how easy it is. I showed you how to edit and enhance your recording. Then I taught you and showed you the publishing platforms. I spoke about them. I showed you one that I use. And then I also shared with you how to create compelling titles and descriptions. How do I launch and promote? And what does consistency do? And how do I improve on my thing? How do I improve my quality over time? Okay, so I want to just, again, come back to why did I do this today? I did this today because I want you, Amoret, I hear you, Buzzsprout. That's exactly the platform that I couldn't remember. That is one of the platforms that we use to launch the platforms, etc. But why did we do this? I did this because I want you to have no more excuses, okay? So a lot of excuses for not having a media platform and actually communicating value and sharing your vision and adding value to people could be, I don't have a camera, etc., etc., etc. So now there's 2 things that I shared with you. Last week was a quote card masterclass. Go and look in the playlist. You can find it there. I think we should actually start creating like a page on my website just for the master classes, where you can get all the resources together. Okay. So I did the quote card masterclass last week because I showed you how easy it is. Where do I get the sources of? And that's a great way to start it. It's visual, it's quick, and it fills your feed, and you can do a lot of them every day. Podcasting, exactly the same. Remember, we're talking about consistency and how that works. Well, the consistency, you can have different, according to your capacity, you can have different intensity. Okay. It is really so easy that instead of one a week, you can do one a day. If you have a 3 to 5 minute podcast and you have a process where you quickly edit and get everything together, and you've got templates set up, that's how easy it is. You can have a podcast a day. And I did it at some point where I had podcasts going out a day. But again, I'm challenged on my consistency. So let's build a relationship here of accountability where we say, hey, I'm not seeing your podcasts. Where are they? I'm not hearing your podcasts. Where are they? And that's just great. And I think the more we build our media platforms through these easy ways of communicating, we could really make a huge impact in the world. We'll open the floor real quick for questions or comments. Post them up in the comments of this post, and I'd love to interact with you. But I want to thank you for joining me today and being here. I really appreciate it, and I'm very appreciative of your time. And so I plan this lesson to be 20 minutes, but I think it's more important for me to give the value than it is. I'm also looking at going forward to perhaps make this more official and more of an event. So I'm going to test out using Hopin as a platform to actually have like an event and promoting it as an event and have people register for these classes. And maybe that will be behind an accountability gateway. We'll see. But I'm looking at, I really feel the value here is really high. And I think that if you take action on these things, you'll really build an amazing platform. So final call for comments. Tell me, what is the one takeaway that you're taking away today? What is the one thing that you're taking away from this class today? I'd love to hear your feedback. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. So even if you think I could have done something better, something I left out, is there something that I missed that you want to know? Please post it and let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I bless you. Thank you so much for your being here and your participation. I really appreciate it. Did you know that I'm really blessed doing this? I really enjoy it. It's incredible. It is such a blessing just living out my calling and my purpose in this way. Thank you so much for watching. Final call, any comments, feedback? What did you take away today? But I appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you again in the next one. By the way, did you know that I do a leadership live at lunchtime, leadership masterclass on Mondays? That happens at 12 o'clock. You got my numbers. If you don't, just message me somewhere and let me know if I need to connect you to that. And then you can get updates as soon as they happen. Thank you so much. I'll see you again next week.